My lords, I rise to pay tribute to the noble Lord Cockfield, who died on Monday. Lord Cockfield was born in 1916 and was educated at Dover Grammar School and the London School of Economics. In 1938, he joined the Home Civil Service, starting at the Inland Revenue. He was called to the bar in 1942. Before joining this house, he had a long and distinguished career, holding many posts across government. He was considered one of the greatest authorities on taxation of his generation, as well as being a statistician of renown. He was raised to the peerage in 1978 and very quickly joined the government front bench. I'm told, and I'm sure many members of longer standing will remember, that he was a notable performer at this dispatch box, with his own particular manner of delivering answers. In government, he first served as Minister of State for the Treasury and next as Secretary of State for Trade in 1982 to 1983. He held a further cabinet post as Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster from 1983 to 1984. He was Vice President of the European Commission between 1985 and 1989, and rather unexpectedly became a champion of the European project. He is regarded as one of the principal architects of the European single market. He continued his interest in the European Union when he returned to this House. In a debate on the enlargement of the European Union in December 1999, he said that, and I quote, "The successful enlargement of the European Union to comprise virtually all the countries between the Atlantic and the borders of the former Soviet Union would be the greatest achievement of the 21st century." End of quote. I'm sure that he was glad to see so much of the project completed in his lifetime. He is survived by a son and a daughter, and I believe the whole House will wish to join me in sending our condolences to them.
My Lords, I am delighted to follow the noble Baroness, leader of the House, in paying tribute to the late noble Lord Cockfield, a colleague whom peers on all sides viewed with affection and respect. The noble Baroness has set out the facts of an extraordinary career. It's hard to overestimate the scale of the noble Lord's talent. He started life with no advantage. Indeed, his father was killed before he was born, and he joined the customs as a junior clerk at the age of 17. But he became a tax professional with a distinguished civil service career, a lawyer, an industrialist, the finance director, MD and chairman of a FTSE 100 industrial company, and a statistician, the president of the Royal Statistical Society, all before entering Parliament at the age of 62. He was, my lords, that very rare figure, one who makes the transition from the world outside politics to Parliament and government, and does so with lasting success. His oratorical style, and some said he spoke like a Royal Commission report, can more politely be described as stately. But, my lords, his words were almost invariably those of a statement. For a decade, he was a leading figure in British and European politics. He was a cabinet minister in days when there were 3 or 4 cabinet ministers in your lordship's house, and government was no worse for that, my lords. And of course, then he was vice president of the Commission in 1985 to 1989. His name will indelibly be linked with the single market in the EU, whose blueprint he effectively wrote himself. And whatever our views of the twists and turns the EU has since taken, the single market is a giant achievement. It would not have happened but for the energy and vision of Arthur Cockfield, and for it he will be long remembered. The noble lord sadly lost his wife soon after leaving politics, but he attended here regularly until very recently, in his 90th year. We always welcomed him, and we benefited from his deep wisdom. Our sincerest sympathies go to his family. They should feel honoured by his memory.
My lords, we on these benches associate ourselves with the memory of a wonderfully anti-political politician. He was one of the most understated people whom one heard talk with an underlying passion, nevertheless, about political issues. I found, as I got to know him in his later years, that you had to listen very hard to catch the underlying humour in some of the things in which he was saying. He loved to pretend that he was dry and technical, even when he wasn't. He was chairman of the Prices Commission under the Conservative government of 1970 to 1974. My noble friend, Baroness Williamson, has reminded me that she reappointed him when the Labour government had come in because, although he was clearly a Conservative, he was recognised to be entirely fair-minded and balanced in his approach to competition and price issues. His most remarkable memory was his achievement in introducing the single European market. And it was perfect for him because the 1992 programme was a collection of extremely dry and technical issues, but he managed, with the help of President Delors and others, to package this together into a politically saleable programme. He had a remarkable rapport with Jacques Delors as President of the Commission, remarkable because they were such very different characters who nevertheless got on extraordinarily well. Madame Delors and Monica Cockfield also got on remarkably well in that peculiar world of Brussels. There were accusations in the British press that he had gone native when he went over there. He had not, but he did see that there was a problem to be dealt with, and it was his job to deal with it. He was much more adventurous than many people knew. He once told us that he and his wife had gone around the world in 1968 on a cargo boat. And when they were in the South China Sea, during the Tet Offensive, their cargo boat, like others in the area, was asked to call in and stand off the Mekong Delta just in case there were large numbers of Americans to be evacuated from the mainland, so their journey was rather delayed. He had a passionate commitment in his later years to informing the younger generation about the real benefits of European cooperation. And the Lady Monica Cockfield Trust provided scholarships for young British students to learn more about Europe in a particularly close relationship with the University of Sussex and the Sussex European Institute. I personally enjoyed many conversations with him in this house, and I, like many others, will miss him.
My Lords, I would like to join with others in expressing our regret at the death of Lord Cockfield. He is a major figure in the public life and the government of our country and within the European Union over very many years and a long period of public service. I knew Lord Cockfield well over many years and had experience of his relentless progress towards his objectives, occasionally falling myself under the tank tracks as he moved across the lawn. It's quite remarkable how he combined in one life the different careers and different types of expertise and knowledge, some of which has been referred to. He's a very able economist and statistician with degrees from the London School of Economics and the presidency of the Royal Statistical Society. He was a civil servant in the Inland Revenue and the Commissioner of the Inland Revenue. He was finance director and managing director of the Boots Company for quite a long time, chairman of the Price Commission. He was Minister of State at the Treasury, and he was Secretary of State for Industry and President of the Board of Trade. Throughout Western Europe, it was recognized that when he was appointed a Vice President of the European Commission, he was the single-minded driving force behind the creation of the European single market, and this made a major contribution to the increased trade and greater prosperity of millions of citizens. Coming from a Thatcherite background, it might have been thought that he would not fit easily into the European institutions, but in fact he became an unexpected hero with his persistent determination to remove barriers to trade and to extend the freedom of trade within the Union. And that great single market, now of almost 500 million people, is, I think, his memorial. But I would like also to remember today what at other times he contributed to national life and to the work of this House. There are few politicians who have had a greater direct impact on the lives of so many, and he will be greatly missed here.
My lords, we've had a very distinguished career, indeed a man of 5 careers, the 5th career being in Europe, a man of formidable intellectual ability, a man of great personal energy and hard work, and a man with professional focus who never craved personal popularity. And certainly we on these benches would want to associate ourselves with all that's been paid in tribute to him today throughout this House. As Bishop of Southwell and Nottingham, I wish to pay particular tribute to the role he had in one of our great industries in the East Midlands, the Boots Company. First as finance director, then as managing director, and then as chairman. And not only did he head up a leading commercial company in our local and national life, but he was also heavily involved in the historic great works of philanthropy and benefaction and charity. Arthur Cockfield also had a very active interest in the successful development of the University of Nottingham, which, as you know, was founded on the philanthropy of Jessie Boot, the enterprising Nottingham chemist, who was later to become Baron Trent. Lord Cockfield served as a member of the University Courts of Governor from 1967, which was a very significant period of expansion. During that time, 8 new halls of residence were constructed on campus, research schools developed and flourished. It led to the establishment of a new medical school at the university, which is going to be one of the world's leading medical schools with human tissue development, research on cancer and the biosciences. When he was initially a supporter of the university, it had 2 campuses. Now it has 7, including one in Malaysia and in China. So he was a key man at the right time for Nottingham. He actively believed the university motto, Sapienta Urdes Conditur, a city built on wisdom.
Lord Harrison.
My lords, I beg leave to ask the question standing in my name on the order paper.